Now we're back into paint again. I'm going to use, because it'll pop up eventually if you've got the right, it'll come up on the shortcuts there because you've used it so much. So just, but otherwise it's through all programs, accessories and paint. Now for this I'm just going to zoom up a little. Right, you don't see the full screen, but you can see how much of it you've got down there. But what we're going to do is start by drawing a rectangle that fills the screen that you can see. Okay? And again, it's just using the blank so far. And we're going to put a few different size rectangles in there. Not too small now, because that will make it difficult when we finish this exercise. We're going to pick up the ellipse tool, and I'm going to draw a circle in there. So we have an overlapping circle there. It's a bit small. Control Z undoes the last thing you did, always an important thing to know. And we just have an outer rectangle with 3 smaller rectangles and 3 ellipses distributed in the middle. Now we're going to use the line tool, and what I'm going to do, you have to use the Control Z to undo that. You have to use the Shift key here because that will keep the line horizontal, because we're just going to divide it up into grids. Now try and go through your shapes so that you haven't got really tiny bits. That you have to look at every shape you're cutting. So I'm seeing here you didn't make that too small. And these can be as regular or irregular as you want. Now again here I'm going to choose to go bang down the middle. Again the Shift key keeps it vertical. So go bang down the middle. Now what we're going to be doing, this is called two-tone. I'm just going to talk while I'm doing this. You can see what I'm doing. Just dividing it up into grids. And they're not all the same size. Now, very close there. But it'll do. Now, I'm going to pick 2 colours. A dark and a light colour. One for the foreground, one for the background. You decide which. I'm going to pick a nice purple for the foreground and right click on that, get a kind of pale yellow. Now, you get your fill tool, and what I'm going to be doing, it's like a chessboard. So I have to fill, so that's anything touching the purple this side has to be an alternate colour. So you see how I'm working that there? That I'm trying to break it up like a chessboard. You can make mistakes on this, so take your time. Okay, see what I'm doing here? I'm just filling in alternate squares with the purple. If you get it wrong, this is so easy just to dump and start again, so you don't panic if you colour the wrong thing. Remember Control Z if you do it, if you realise what you've done in time. So I'm just continuing again. I'm just every alternate. So that should be purple. So things like that you can get mixed up in and sort of, where am I? Just go out to the outer ones and work your way in if you get confused. So that has to be purple. I think that's it. So if I then, with the right click, fill all the other ones with the pale yellow. Okay, it's a piece of art that I'm creating here. Now if anything is too small to fill and you're finding it hard to fill, just zoom up a bit. Zoom. Oh wait, no, I'm right clicking still. So zoom. Let's see, I'll go up 6 times and then you really just have to zoom down, scroll down and over. And you see, it just means that smaller bits can be easier, right click, can be easier to fill in if you're having difficulty filling them in. And then I can just zoom out again, left click, maybe zoom in by 2 so you can see a bit more. So I'm right clicking to get the yellow. You might have found it easier to do this right left as you were going. Do it that way if you can keep track better. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is get the eraser and just, oh wait, now change it back to white. Right click, so you can see there it was white. And stamp out, just bring it very slowly down. Don't take out too much. Just bring it over it and click as opposed to click and drag, because you'll swipe away something that you want. And you're just going around and tidying up the edges. Now again, you might need the zoom tool. Let's just go up a little bit more. See here. Just is a bit helpful because you can see what you're doing when you zoom in. And again, just going right up and clicking, click, click, not too far. And I'm just erasing all these stray guidelines that we put in at the very start. Again, I'm not clicking. The temptation is to click and drag. Don't click and drag because you're bound to erase something you don't want to erase. But remember, Control Z undoes anything that you did too hasty. See, I did these kind of, it could be really pernickety and get these inside to begin with, but I think it's a waste of time. I think this is easier. So back up, nearly there, nearly have it. The only final thing is to put your name on it. So we'll zoom back out, get the text box, maybe bottom right, just stick in there. Now I want the text toolbar. If I right click and get the text toolbar, I just couldn't find that. And say 12. Should be big enough. You put your own name in, obviously. And you can move that. You see the way that, if you click this, show you again. You see, you can either have it, depending on which of these you choose, leave it as that and just leave it outside. And I think that's it. I think you're done. So you just go File, Save As, I always sort of tell you to do. You have your H drive, I go to my images folder, and we call this 2 tone. Okay? And then you can close Paint, and you're done.